So if your goal is to grow your hair out, layering your hair is actually going to slow this process down. Hello and welcome back. I'm Laura, I'm a hairstylist, and today I'm going to teach you about the differences between layers, texturizing, and thinning, as well as why layering can actually be bad for some hair types and some situations. Now, hair naturally does become a little bit layered, and this is really just because of the natural shedding process. We lose hairs periodically, which causes the hair at the bottom to naturally be a little bit thinner than the fuller hair at the root, because this is where all the newer hair has grown in. And so I've sectioned the top of her hair off just to give us a good canvas here to work on so that you can really see the differences, because all of this hair is bluntly cut. Now, regular layers are referring to the exterior layers in your hair, and texturizing and thinning is referring to interior layers in your hair. Now, the difference is that exterior layers are the layers that you can actually physically see in the hair. Interior layers are cut into the hair and you can't physically see them, but you can see that the hair is thinner towards the bottom. So regular layers or exterior layers are what gives the haircut its shape. And contrary to popular belief, you cannot count the layers in the hair. Layers are cut into the hair by graduating the hair at different angles and cutting the hair so that it falls at different lengths. Depending on what angle you hold the hair to will determine the shape of the hair. This is why you can't go into a salon and ask for 3 layers, because there's no such thing. Now, exterior layers are often done on hair when it's wet before it's blow dried. Typically, if you're asking for layers, these are the type of layers that you're asking for. And when layering, the layers are always put in with a regular pair of shears. This is not done with texturizing shears, thinning shears, or notchers. So I'm gonna do a long layered cut on this mannequin, which means I'm gonna hold the hair straight up to 180 degrees. I'm gonna pull all of the hair up to the same point, and I'm going to cut it at the top. Now I'm going to take this same section and hold it out to a 90-degree angle. And if you can see, there's a point here that we're gonna go ahead and just cut off. Now we can already see the difference here at what the layering has done to the bottom of the hair. The hair is beveled and it comes down to a point. All right, now let's move on to texturizing. Texturizing is the act of removing bulk or weight lines from specific areas of the hair to change the shape or how the hair is going to lay. Texturizing is usually done on dry hair so that you can see exactly where the weight lines lay. It's much harder to see where the weight lines lay on wet hair, which is why I personally am against texturizing with a feather razor. Now, if you've ever wound up with what I like to call the triangle cut, which is where the base of your hair is very flat and your hair just gets very, very wide on your ends, what you need in this situation is a little bit of texturizing. And this is going to remove the bulk from your ends so that you have more fullness at the top and less fullness at the bottom. You can cause the hair to lay under or flip out just by texturizing. Now, texturizing can be done with a number of different kinds of shears. My favorite way to texturize is with a regular pair of shears, but you can also do it with notchers or thinning shears. Now, I am going to leave a little section next to where the layered piece was cut, just so we've got one area there that is blunt and we can compare the texturizing next to that. And I'm gonna grab this section over here and we are going to texturize it. Now, this is how I texturize hair the majority of the time. Typically, the only time I don't texturize this way is when the hair is so short that I can't pick it up and hold it in my hands. But if you can see here, we're going in and we're removing bulk from the hair interiorly. This means we can't physically see where the layers are, but we know that they're there. And this is removing the bulk from specific areas that we target. A lot of the hair is still all coming down to this same point down here, but we can see that the hair is a little bit thinner than it is on this blunt section. Now, I'm also going to show how you can texturize with thinning shears, but I typically don't recommend this because you can create lines that can be seen in the hair. But typically, you'll go in at an angle and make cuts as you move the shears down. And this is essentially just removing bulk from certain areas of the hair where you want it to be a little bit lighter. This will help the hair get much more volume in those areas because they're not being weighed down. Now, I don't normally recommend using notchers unless you really know what you're doing. The only time I use notchers are in the bang area where I'm just creating some wispiness on the front, or when I'm blending like a very short pixie or men's haircut, because these scissors can take some serious chunks out of your hair. And I will show you very briefly right here what they can do to the hair. You can see that took way more out than the last shears did. All right, so now you can see here we've got our hard layers and here we've got our texturizing. This section has not been layered or texturized at all. And if I hold this out, you can see that it's much fuller right here in this section. This side over here appears thinner at the ends, and this side here is kind of beveled down. All right, now we're gonna move on to thinning of the hair. Now, thinning the hair is similar to texturizing because it is putting interior layers in the hair, not exterior layers like traditional layering. The difference is where the thinning is done. Typically when thinning, you're only gonna do this on clients with a ton of hair that just need to get some out to make it more manageable and potentially reduce headaches. You aren't gonna wanna thin someone that has fine hair, while you may still want to texturize certain areas of a haircut on somebody that has fine or thin hair. All right, so I'm going to thin this last section here. I'm going to divide it in half, and we're going to start quite a bit higher up. And we're going to do very similar to what we did when we were texturizing, but we're starting much higher up. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're going through and we're making several cuts as we move the scissors out of the hair. And you can see how much hair is coming out here. All right, now can you see how much thinner this section of hair is opposed to here? I'm gonna stick my hands kind of behind this here just so you can see the differences. You can see that this texturizing side has quite a bit of volume here as it trickles down and is much thinner towards the end. The thinned out side has a lot less volume and thickness in general. And the layered side still has quite a bit of weight to it, even though it is beveled at the bottom. Now, I want to talk about what situations layering actually can be bad for the hair and why I personally think that layers are a little bit overrated and why I don't have any layers in my hair. Now, as you watched, each of these examples made the hair become thinner on the ends of the hair. So if your goal is to grow your hair out, layering your hair is actually going to slow this process down. This is because of the strength in numbers theory. When you have more hair in one area, that hair is protected because it's surrounded by many other hairs. When there's less hair in an area, it's more susceptible to damage. So when the bottom of your hair is thinner because of layering or texturizing or thinning it out, it's going to split at the bottom a little quicker, and ultimately it's just going to take a bit longer for the hair to be able to grow down long and stay healthy. Personally, when I grew my layers out, my hair literally tripled in length within the next few years. I had been trying to grow my hair out for so long, and I was maintaining quite a few short layers. But as soon as I grew those layers out, I got the length that I wanted. Now, if you have extremely thick hair, then this isn't really gonna pertain to you because you have so much hair that your hair is gonna be a little bit stronger and healthier because it's more protected. But if you have medium to thin hair like I do, layers are actually gonna hinder your hair growth. Now, if somebody sits in my chair and they tell me that they want layers, I normally ask them why. Because there are definitely situations where layers are helpful and they are important and necessary for a haircut. But something that I've noticed is Nobody really knows why they want layers. They just feel like they should get them. Or many stylists just overdo layers. They do layers on everybody just because. And the thing is, layers aren't great for everybody. So unless you're particularly wanting more volume on top, or you're wanting it to be thinner on the ends, or you're wanting that butterfly haircut, you're wanting that layered cut, then go for layers. But if your goal is to make your hair extremely healthy and grow out, then I'm gonna say that you should think twice before layering your hair. Okay, so to recap really quick, layers or hard layers or exterior layers are cut into the hair at varying degrees, and you can actually see where they fall in the hair. Texturizing is also known as interior layers or soft layers, is the act of removing bulk from the ends or certain areas of the hair to get it to lay a specific way. They help the hair increase in volume because they're removing weight so that the hair is fuller at the root and thinner on the ends. And thinning of the hair is similar to texturizing because it creates interior layers that you can't physically see, but it is removing bulk from all of the hair, not just in specific areas or on the ends. It's removing excess hair to thin the hair and make it a little bit more manageable for people that have a ton of hair. Now, there are a lot of situations where I will use all three of these layering techniques in one haircut. Oftentimes, if the hair is layered, it's also gonna need texturized just to remove some of the weight lines towards the bottom. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. Leave me any other questions you have on layering, texturizing, or thinning in the comment section. And make sure you subscribe if you want to make every day a good hair day.